Now, the National Transmission Company of South Africa, NTCSA, is poised to launch its trading platform by July, a few months later than anticipated. Minister of Electricity, Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, assures the public of fair energy pricing through increased competition within the operation of the NTCSA. Joining me now to delve into the possibilities of this transition is in energy sector is energy writer for Business Days, Denene Erasmus. Denene, a pleasure. Good afternoon.
Hi, hello, thanks for having me.
All right, Denene, maybe we should just recap. I think for some people we might be lost in the detail because there's always lots of detail here. Why are we unbundling Eskom again?
It has come a long way. It's actually been many years in the making, and this is really to sort of isolate the different parts of Eskom. And so what we're talking about today is obviously the transmission company. So that's all the high wire lines that we see and all the infrastructure that's used to carry electricity across the country. And then there will also be the generation, which is what people usually think of when they think of Eskom, which is all the power stations. And then the third would be the distribution, which is the transmission at municipal level. So that's where the electricity comes from the transmission system to where it's actually used within municipalities and cities by the consumers. So not only will this allow for different types of private participation in the different segments of the electricity market, but it will also help to sort of ring fence some of the financial issues that Eskom has had in the past and help with better financial management going forward, so that there's no longer issues of cross-subsidization or poor performance in one area affecting the balance sheets in other areas. And for transmission specifically, where South Africa needs to invest many hundreds of billions of rands in the next 10 years to extend that transmission system by about 14,000 kilometers, like through setting up the separate transmission company, government can also work towards a program that will allow for private participation and investment in the transmission system, as we are already seeing on the generation side.
Now, of course, we do know that, government's been hard at work. They are putting together all the different regulatory requirements and operational requirements to get the transmission company up and running. We are seeing a bit of a delay there. Is that something to be concerned about, Denene?
So the sooner it's up and running, the better, obviously, because it is a big step in really liberalizing the energy market. And we would have wanted it to see operational already by the new deadline that was set for 1 April. But at the moment, one of the things that is holding back the operationalization is we are still waiting for the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill, which is currently with the National Council of Provinces to be signed into law. The National Council of Provinces has given the public until the 28th or the 29th to submit public commentary on the bill, which has already been passed by the National Assembly. And there's definitely some pressure on Parliament to get this bill signed into law before we head for the polls in May, because this bill is really instrumental in setting up the framework and the legal framework that through which this National Transmission Company of South Africa and then later the transmission system operator will be set up and how it will function.
I must ask you also just about the passing of this bill and the process of having the public comment. I think you said until April 29, and then having the bill signed literally by a month later before the elections. Denene, is it a possibility, though, that there might be pushback with some aspects of this bill that might lead us to not be able to see it signed off by the 29th of May? And of course, what we're also seeing is a rushing of some legislation because of the 29 May deadline. Is this something also to watch out for here?
As things stand now, there was a lot of consultation at the portfolio committee level on the bill, and while not all parties and not all stakeholders are 100% happy with what's in the bill. I think there is broad consensus that as it's good to pass and to be signed into law as it stands, just because it is so integral in moving this whole process of introducing a competitive energy market forward. So I think there isn't much anticipation that at this stage there will still be much pushback from the public against the bill. So while it's certainly possible to still see the bill signed into law before the third week of May, the deadline is looming, and hopefully it does pass. But I think the industry is also very much aware that even if the bill passes in the next couple of weeks, it is still going to take a good 3, 4, 5 years for the operationalization of the transmission company and then later the transmission system operator to really be properly finalized.
And also, Denene, in the article that you penned for Business Day, you also mentioned, speaking about elections here, the lack of load shedding, it's being met with suspicion. What did the electricity minister have to say about this one? And did it give you assurance that we're not going to wake up on the 30th of May to stage 100 of load shedding?
I think there's, of course, South Africans have reason to be concerned that this is all just that the power is being kept on in some artificial way to bolster support for the current ruling party, the ANC, in the run-up to the election. But I think we must realize that this is not, we are not seeing an overnight fix. There's been a lot of work going on in terms of trying to, in terms of the maintenance being done at Eskom power stations. And then last year, we also saw that massive increase, about a doubling of the amount of rooftop solar that was installed. And on top of that, which is taking away some of the demand from Eskom, the economy is not performing well. There is a lot of pressure on industries such as mining, which is one of the intensive energy user sectors, which is also taking away some demand. So there are various factors that are contributing to as having almost going on to a month now of no load shedding. And I think important to remember, the minister did warn that while we've had a very good run of it, this is not the end of load shedding. We will see more load shedding before the end of the year, and especially as we go into the winter season. But there's no denying that there is some real improvement also in the generation performance of Eskom's fleet.
Well, Denene, giving us much assurance there. Thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure speaking to you here on Business Lunch. That was energy writer for the Business Day, Denene Erasmus.